Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to another episode of the Podcast Prophet. My name is Tulula Wren. I'm the magical medium, and today we are going to be talking about walking in balance to create harmony in the universe. The Lakota call it the Good Red Way. Oh, no, the Good Red Road. But isn't that interesting? For years, from the first time I even learned of the Good Red Road, I would say the Good Red Way. So it's kind of interesting to me that it slipped out again. It's like, so that must mean something, I absolutely positively believe in that. So I'm also going to provide a link in the description box for David Little Elk, who has an amazing channel. He's such a gifted Native American teacher, and I've learned a lot from them. And actually, because one of my shamans that I walked with for over 2 years, Layla Lee, Dancing Spider Woman, she and I shared a Cherokee background. And so she taught me so much about the Good Red Road. And I was blessed enough, actually, you know what, I'm going to get a little more comfortable. I was blessed actually to come in contact with some of her Native American elders from the Southwest. And interestingly enough, some of their chiefs had dreams about me, and I had dreams about them. It was very, very interesting. I had this connection with them at a very early stage in my development. I apologize for the traffic. I will not be living here forever, so I got to keep remembering that. And those of you who know, have been with me for a long time, I have lived so many places. I've traveled. I've moved over 30 times and lived in 5 different states. And I can tell you that it is a very profound experience to move around that much, because you really start to understand your environment and the place that it has in your life. And this week I am going back to my house sitting gig. Yay! For the 3rd and final time, at least for now. I believe I will be there again. I just don't know when or how or whatever, but I definitely am very excited about this one. This is the Grand Dame. This is the longer stay, so I'll really get a chance to focus on myself, work on myself, work with you guys. I have a huge project at her house that I'm going to be working on, it's a daunting task. It's not an easy task. It's actually a really horrible task, but you know what, it's going to be it's like one of those tasks that's like, when I get past like the dirty stuff and you get to the gook of it, then you get to play with the fun, polished parts of it. And I'll explain more as we, go further. I'm sure they'll have me do an episode around that, because I've been feeling that, especially, in our northern hemisphere, we just went into spring, and our southern hemisphere family into fall. But both of those are seasons of it's planting and reaping, but also it's about cleaning and cleansing to get prepared for the next, for spring, we're coming out of winter. And so we want to just stretch and clean out all of those, places that we didn't want to look at, that over winter we just, we're like, oh, I don't want to deal with that, That's okay. That's part of being human, right? We sometimes need a little time to just not care about things. But then sometimes, we've got to fix it. I can't tell if that's rain or birds, because we have so many. Oh, it's birds. Do you hear their little feet? I think it's the robins. The robins are back, and they are like my best friends, and they were really good friends with Jesus too. So I feel a very strong Christ consciousness with the robin bird. So work with the robin bird spirit medicine. I'm almost positive it's them. It could be others. There are so many different types of birds around here right now, but when the robins come, the other ones seem to take off. Although I did see the blackbirds and the robins in the trees all around my house last night. It was kind of cool. I was like, you guys, I'm like, if I was a fearful person, I might be like, and I didn't know about bird medicine, I might be a little freaked out. But they were cohabitating. They were just chilling out. No worries. Just like, whatever, man. I'm like, cool. That was nice because the little ones, the wrens, who I'm named after, they tend to kind of push them out, or, they kind of, work with them in a different capacity. I don't know if it's a respect thing, a fear thing. I haven't gone deeper into that, but I think it's a little bit of both. Um, but also wrens are really powerful, which is why Spirit named me Tallulah Wren, because, well, I'll let you research it. I'll put that down too, Wren. I always check in the description box for little pearls of wisdom. I'm actually going to adjust my pillow just a little bit. I like doing these podcasts from bed because it's like in the morning when I'm just kind of gathering myself and gathering my thoughts and connecting with Spirit. It's kind of my favorite time to do the podcast for you guys. Or at night when I'm kind of had a full day of thought and I want to put it. It's kind of like an online journal, really. But I digress. So, getting back to the Good Red Road, it is about finding the balance and the harmony. And I think these equinoxes are showing us about, there's only twice in the year where we are literally exactly the same amount of daylight and the same amount of night. And right now in the northern hemisphere, we're tilting more to the light. And it's a very powerful, powerful time, because this particular equinox and this time right now on our planet, in our solar system, and in the universe is a time of reflection. It's a time for unity. It's a time for change. It's a time for structure. But it's also about finding the harmony and the balance within as without. Yeah, so when I was staying at the house sitting gig, I didn't even realize how quiet things were until I came back here. And now I feel like I don't even know how I lived here for the last year. You know what I mean? Like, you look back at something you did and you're like, how did I get through that? But you did. And it made me stronger and it made me better. However, it also made me realize I'm done. Like, this isn't for me. It was a good, little break. It was a pause, but now it's time for a new adventure. It's time for something different, which totally makes sense why Spirit's drawing me to Hawaii, because, everything I've researched and looked at, which, by the way, please send prayers to the Hawaiian Islands. They're going through so much right now. And can you guys imagine if I was there? I know a lot of you guys have reached out to me and you're like, dude, can you imagine if you were there right now? I'm like, I know. My one friend, one of our soul sisters, one of our tribe members was like, that would have been your like, hi, I'm moving to Hawaii. She's like, you would have been ushered in with like trauma and like tragedy. I'm like, well, I'm like, you know what though? I'm like, ironically, I said I would have been really good in that situation because I've learned to live off grid. So, the Big Island didn't have, I don't know if it was the whole island, but certain parts of the Big Island in Pahoa, where one of our tribe members is staying with some soul spiritual family of her own. They went through 5 or 6 days without power. So it was pretty intense. And then when they finally got the power back on, they were like rushing around to like fix everything, do laundry, take showers, because they were getting hit again with another storm this weekend. But some of the other islands got hit so much bigger. It's really, really interesting. And I was like, Spirit, what are you doing? I'm like, are you just trying to traumatize me further? You know what I mean? I'm like, you're telling me to move here. I'm like my biggest concerns that I've been like feeling, but sending it good energy because I'm moving there, right? And then it shows me that it's like, it doesn't matter how much I pray. It doesn't matter how much good energy I send. If something's meant to happen, it's meant to happen, you guys. Like, we are but little drops of water in this very large sea of humanity and just like existence on Earth in general, which most of the planet is water. So it's kind of interesting. And there's like whole other worlds going on down there. They finally, I don't know how many years ago it was, but they finally were able to get these cameras that they can get to work, and these vessels to take humans down very deep, because before they couldn't. It was so deep in the ocean and so dark that there wasn't enough, whatever it was. Like, it was there wasn't enough things that were pressurized properly or whatever. I'm not a scientist, but you get what I'm saying. So now they've over the years, they've found these like, vessels to take you, far under the sea so they can see a lot more. And when you go further down, it's almost like when you get to the depths of the deepest dark part of the ocean where you're like, oh my gosh, this is kind of scary. Like, how do they even see or navigate down here? Um, there's massive monsters down there, like monsters meaning like like the megalith sharks and like things like that, like those are very real, like those, because they're in a completely different existence and they don't need to come up further because they have the food they need, they have everything they need. So they don't come up here to bother us. They're not coming here to attack us. They're not like, some sinister, force in a movie. But what they also discovered was that there were fish down there and sea life, that were lit up. That when that they found, like, it doesn't even look real. It looks totally fakes. It fakes. What's happening? It reminded me of like Light Bright. Do you ever have a Light Bright? Oh my gosh! If they don't have those, they should bring those back because they're so clever. But Light Bright was like one of my favorite things ever. And if you don't know what it was basically this artistic toy, this creative toy that had like all these holes on like a mesh screen. And I don't remember what the screen was made out of. Maybe it was metal. I don't remember now. It's been years. Maybe it was mesh. I don't know. But, and they have these little light bulbs. And they would take a piece of paper and they would stamp a picture of, let's just say, like an undersea creature, and then they would tell you which, this red light goes there, this green light goes there, and then by the time you're done, when it's full, you turn on the light and it's like, oh, a fish, and it's like a beautiful colorful fish, something like that. But that's kind of the imagery I got, was that, it's kind of like that Light Bright moment where I'm sure that people, when they went down, they were probably like blown away. It's the same of going to the moon. I mean, because it's an experience that, no one's been able to do. You have to have oxygen to breathe down there, and then the pressure is so intense that it cracks glass, so the water would seep in. I mean, there's just like all these things. But you know I feel like that's what spirit is getting us to look at, that there's so much more to planet Earth and so much more to our solar system and so much more to the universe, that to have these trivial fears that hold us back from our diversity, that we're meant to be unified in mind, body, and soul, and time, and in our hearts, right? Like, to love and care for ourselves and each other. But when it comes to individuality, that's where the diversification is there, and it's not for a bad thing. It's like, it's awesome that we're so diversified. It's awesome that we come from different places, and and even for some people, I know one of my really good friends from years ago. When we first met, she could barely speak English, and then I would practice English with her, and then Buffy the Vampire Slayer was really big at the time, and so she just like power watched Buffy. This was before the internet, right? So like, or they had the internet, but it wasn't like it is now, like, or like the translation apps or things like that. So it was like, it was really fun because she got to navigate and learn how to speak English, but through a very popular show that was very trendy. So she knew how to like speak, more conversationally, like to sound hip and kind of, on trend and all that. And I was like, that's really clever. So I kind of did the same thing. When I took Spanish in school for years, and then when I was going to be spending a month in Mexico, southern Mexico, like Mexico City, Acapulco, we went to, Tasco and all these other places, so many places. We traveled all over. I knew I really wanted to refresh my Spanish. So I was working at a restaurant at the time, and the whole entire back kitchen and some of the front of the house spoke Spanish. So they're like, we're only going to speak Spanish to you until you leave, just so that, it'll help you. It was such a great help. But not only that, they told me that if I really wanted to learn to watch telenovela, and it was so funny because I did. And then ironically, when I was there over the holidays, my first husband went to an international school when he grew up in Mexico City, and um, one of his friends who lived in Polanco, they had this magical house, and it was like a mansion and like staff and everything. It was crazy. But I ended up meeting, I was like, I was like, who are those people? It was like the moment I likened it to, because it really was like that. If you've ever seen Twilight, and if you remember when they're talking to Bella about, the school, it's her first day and everything, like the quote unquote normal kids, the human kids, right? And then when all the vampires walk in, she's like, who the fuck are they? And she's like, oh yeah, that's the Cullens. Like, she's like, they all look like movie stars. And she's like, yeah, they're all really beautiful, you know? And in the book, it's funny because, to be honest, none of them, even Robert Pattinson, like none of them lived up to like what I thought they would look like in the book. I mean, they were so magical in the book, and I was waiting for them to be a little more ethereal, but I get it. And it's someone's vision. It's funny because Kristen Stewart said that someday she's going to remake the Twilight series, and I was like, oh God, I hope she does, because I feel like she would really do it justice, because she said the same thing. She's like, she loved it that she was a part of it and it put her on the map, and she loved, Stephanie Meyer and all that, but she was like, she's like, we could have done it in so many different ways, like the visions that she had for it. Anyway, but it was kind of like that. It was like I go into this, or I'm at this party, and all these people were coming in, and it was these people that they all grew up with, and then they're bringing like their spouses, their significant others, or people they're dating or whatever. So all of a sudden it was like all these beautiful people, and I was like, who are these fucking people? And he's like, those are the telenovelas. I'm like, what? And he's like, do you recognize any of them? I'm like, no, but I was only watching one, and I didn't watch it for that long. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, they're like fucking super famous here. I'm like, what? And I was like, I didn't really know who they were, but it was like kind of interesting, to see that side of it. And, I was living in LA for so long at the time, and, or not so long, but I think I'd been there at least 2 or 3 years, like, so enough time to understand certain things, and working with celebrities. And I opened the Planet Hollywood in Beverly Hills when I first moved there, so it was very natural and normal for me to see like Bruce Willis, Demi Moore, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold was there all the fucking time. He really loved the attention. So it was, and then we just had celebrity things every week. Sometimes we'd have 8 or 10 events in one week. So I think by the time I left there, Michael Roth and I, our PR guy, he was like, I thought it'd be fun for shits and giggles to like kind of like add up like how many celebrities and stars that you've come across or worked on or waited on or whatever, and you're almost 2 years here, and there was like over 800. I was like, yeah, that hits. So you know what I mean? So to me it was like, I didn't know who they were at all, but at the same time I paid them the respect because I know that they're really big there. And and they all spoke English to give me respect that because I was trying so hard to speak Spanish, and then they were like, we speak English. We don't mind, speaking English with you. And I was like, oh wow. I'm like, that's so gracious. I'm like, thanks. But I did lose them though. I did lose them. They were so nice to me and everything was so nice until one of them was talking about her husband's mistress, and it was just me being a typical, very sheltered American, hadn't really traveled abroad, didn't realize I was insulting her. I was like, I don't understand. I'm like, I really mean this with respect. I'm like, you're so beautiful. I'm like, you're like drop dead, stunning, gorgeous, beautiful. And you can't be a day over what, in your 20s? And she's like, I'm 28. And I said, you're 28 and your husband has a mistress? Why? I'm like, I'm not being a dick. I'm like, I'm trying to really understand. And she's like, it's a culture thing and you don't understand. And so there it is. And then that was it. And then they all started speaking Spanish, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, these are the mean girls. Like I just came across. But no, but the thing that blew my mind was they didn't look what I knew to be Mexican, because I was living in Southern California. So I didn't see the Spanish. Well, I forget, they have a name for them, actually. There's a name for them. But they were whiter than me. They were whiter than me. They had blue eyes, blonde hair. Like, they were beautiful. They were stunningly beautiful, but they were Spanish. So they, had more of the European in their bloodline than, like, the South American kind of, like, connection. It was so fascinating. So, with the Spanish conquering, and the conquistadors, and I mean, just all the things when you like look at South America. And I just watched this really interesting thing about Chile and the mountains and the Andes. And so, I mean, it's just very fucking fascinating. But it was a very, I mean, I had gone to the Diego Rivera and Frida Kahlo exhibit at the art museum in Mexico City. And, it was like I was just really getting into the indigenousness of Mexico. So that was another reason too. I think it kind of like blew my mind. But the diversity of it was very interesting. And what I also learned was when we were in Polanco, which is where we were staying, which his family was, we wanted to go to, his mom wanted to check out this new movie theater. And she's like, it's kind of like outside of the city, but don't worry, the Green Angels will be there. It's off the highway. And I was like, what are the Green Angels? It's like, I learned so much and I really realized how sheltered I was as an American and just like how different the world was, and it was just fascinating to me. So that's why, a lot of you guys know I have studied all different backgrounds and cultures, and I'm always learning and I'm always studying, and there are some things I'll admit to you when I'm ignorant and I don't know, and I say, I really don't know that much about that. I mean, we can't know everything about everything. I mean, we could, but we'd be, it's a lot of studying. We want to do some living as well. So I feel like this podcast is really to urge you to learn more about the Good Red Road. Watch David's episode. I think it'll be really powerful for a lot of us. It was, if I saw it correctly, I believe it was recorded at the end of January of this year, and real time today is March 22nd, 2026. And you always like to say the numbers. So today is an 8, which is about infinity, which is perfect for this right now because we are never ending beings. We don't die. We just multiply, right? Like our existence and our awareness multiplies, but like our bodies, our avatars will die. They will expire in this lifetime. But that's why in this lifetime, it's meant to be lived. It's meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be yourself, whatever that is, whatever that looks like for you. And the number one thing of the Good Red Road is about finding balance and harmony within ourselves, but also it's about the four corners of, it's from the Lakota teachings. That's where David Little Elk, he is from the Lakota tribe. And I don't know all of the points of the medicine wheel, but it does talk about balance, wisdom. I don't know the rest of them offhand. But I studied those as well when I was studying the Native American teachings. I was very, very interested. Ooh, you guys, when I looked down, it was 2225. So we'll work with that as an angel number. But also, it's so funny because 2225 is also the number 11. And actually, I think I put like Native American light worker for David because I did a shorts too. I posted a shorts from my house sitting gig from a shorts he just did. And, we're so connected. Also, if you guys don't know consciousness evolution, Dee, she just started a new channel. I'll put a link for that as well. She's got a shorts channel that she was called to start, and she's just so successful. It's she was born to be this beautiful light worker and teacher as well. But one of hers, the money, I was just, the second I saw it, I was like, I've been noticing how much my life has been changing as long as I keep up with the I ams and I stay in a high vibration. And we're going to have moments where we cry and we go to the past, and you know what I mean? Like, that's okay. It's meant there for teaching, but it's not there to dwell on. It's not there to hold in or hold on to. And I have noticed, hold on. I have noticed that one of the things that's been the hardest part for the light workers is really releasing the old identity of the third dimensional energy. This may blow your mind a little bit. And if you're somewhere where it's safe to do so, I'd really love for you to close your eyes and just like hear what Spirit wants me to say right now. But some of you have to remember, and this is a message for all of us, but for some of us, the messages will grow just a little bit deeper into our roots on our healing process. But one of I don't know what you'd call it, but it just came into my orbit recently, and I had such an aha moment. And that was Spirit in meditation said, remember that anyone that is in your life now that you met through your third dimensional existence will, in all likelihood, unless they are walking the good red road, will not be able to walk with you through this chapter. And I feel like for some of you, you need to hear that, because this chapter, it doesn't have to be a finality. It could just mean for this chapter, you're meant to walk this road. And when we're speaking of walking the good red road and walking in balance and harmony with nature and the universe, we have to remember that we cannot grow and evolve and change in a place that cannot support that evolution. I have been trying very hard to save one of these last, if you guys know from our tribe, and welcome back. Thank you for supporting us, and welcome to the new people. You are our family, our Ohana. Last fall, I received these 3 massive, and I mean massive, lemongrass plants. And I loved them, and I cared for them, and I nurtured them, and we had a good old time. I was calling them Josie and the Pussycats. Like, they were so great. And then Josie started to go down after the holidays. I was like, no. And then by the end of January, Josie was gone, and one of the Pussycats started to go too, and then I only had one left. And it was interesting because the one that I didn't seem to pay, the one I thought was going to go first was one of the ones that went last. And now, no matter what I do, I feel like I can't save them. And I'm like, what can I do? I've been listening to them, doing what they asked me to do. And they're like, you'll understand. And I was like, okay. And so I'm in process with this plant right now. I have no idea what's going on, but it would make sense if I'm moving to Hawaii, because I was like, yeah, but I know so many people that'd be happy to take these plants and nourish them and care for them, especially a lemongrass, which is like, such a, lemongrass we can use for food. It's good for protection. It's good for smudging. I mean, it's just, there's so many beautiful things. And it is a very big Native American tradition to use lemongrass in spiritual practices. And other cultures as well, but definitely when I was walking the good red road with my Native American shaman, I felt a deep connection to lemongrass. So I was very happy to be connected to it. And now I realize that Spirit's like, sometimes things are gifted to us or given to us for, whatever purpose. And we can't always understand what it is or what it means. So it doesn't mean that you can't love those people. But I am seeing the same patterns in so many people that I know and love, and that's okay. But I'm realizing that it's a pattern of abuse. And when we get so connected to people, we don't think that things they're doing or saying are abuse. Oh, that's just how they are, or that's just them. But if anyone ever in any way, shape, or form makes you feel less than, that has nothing to do with you. Don't take that in. All they're doing is showing you how they feel about themselves. But the savior complex is also a big thing that happens in empaths and sensitives. We love so hard. We love so big. We love so great. We think we can help, nurture, and save others and bring them back, but we can't. Recently, the whole reason why I even wanted to start this podcast was because I thought I was getting ill. And then I realized what had happened. No, I had just pushed myself too far, not eaten the foods that I would like to eat, because I'm running late, or this is happening. It's just okay. It's just today. Oh, that's okay. It's like, it adds up. And right now, the difference of living in the third dimensional energy and in the fifth dimensional energy is part of the good red road, which is living with humility, humbleness, but also understanding that we are one and we are connected, and that if someone is feeling a certain way towards you or treating you a certain way, you don't have to receive that. But when we condone the behavior of people, this has been going on with Alder and I through our journey of the dark night of the soul individually, and like still, you know, trying our best to walk the good red road individually and together, but recognizing what is holding us back from our own individual healing and deep-rooted, scars and traumas, or whatever you want to call them, from childhood, etc. And it doesn't always necessarily have to come from childhood. You may have had a really dreamy childhood, but then, it could be a significant other. It could be a teacher. It could be a boss, somebody who belittled you or made you feel less than, or, made you feel less important. Those things are very big, especially time management, in terms of, you have plans with somebody. I tried my very best over the years to, if I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there, even if it meant to my own detriment, even if it meant to, that I would be uncomfortable. And over the years, I have learned that that is really unhealthy for me and for the people that it's happening with. So many of you know who've worked with me that if we set up a session together, there's a difference of somebody who's canceling a session because, and this has happened to me before, by the way, and why I started having people pay me, because if they pay me first, they're going to have a much more higher likelihood of showing up, because I do not give refunds. We can move the date, and I have a 24-hour cancellation period. And of course, emergencies happen, but I'm a telepathic medium. So people would try to pull one over on me, and I'm like, dude, I'm like, tell me the truth. I'm like, you're hungover. And they're like, I'm so hungover. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. People would show up late to the session, but then they want the full session. And so over the years, I had to learn boundaries. I had to, while they were teaching me, I was teaching them as well. It was like a co-creative, I almost felt like saying a co-conspirator. I apologize. I was really comfortable, and then all of a sudden I just couldn't get comfortable. So maybe that's where some of you guys are, because you can't get comfortable right now because you're not in the right place. 3234 is another angel number for us to work with. Or maybe you're feeling uncomfortable right now because this is connecting, right? Like you're like, oh my gosh, this is sounding a little too close to home for me, right? You're like, because it's real fucking shit. It's real shit. This is very real, what's happening on the planet right now. So, if people say they're going to be there and they don't show up and they don't call and they're not there, they not only have no respect for you, but they have no respect for themselves. And you are telling the universe that you don't respect yourself. And if someone does it to you once, they're likely to do it again. What's that old saying? The first time, shame on you, right? Or something. The second time, shame on me. Meaning like, or something like that. There's something, please put it in the description box if you know it. But it's basically saying like, okay, that's fine. Like shit happens, right? Like once is fine. It's a one-off. A second time is kind of a red flag. And a third time's like, you're out. You know what I mean? Which is why I think a lot of people, it's like third strike, like in baseball, right? Because after 3 strikes, like that's it. You don't get another shot. That's it. And I feel like Spirit is pushing for us to, in order to walk the good red road, we need to embody the energy of it and walking with harmony with the universe and nature. But if we're not walking in that energy consistently, but allowing other people, places, and things to take us off track, it's going to run us down. And I asked Spirit last night, I literally lathered myself up in like lavender oils, and I just took all these things. I just got this new mushroom tincture that's like really relaxing and boosts the immune system. I went to bed early. I think I went to bed at I think I looked at the clock and it was like 10:10, and I'm like, oh, that's perfect. I'm like, what a perfect, And then I woke, when I woke up this morning, I looked at the clock, it was 7:34, which is, I was born at 7:02 and seven's my life path number, but 7:34 is seven. So I was like, that's so interesting, like patterns and cycles, right? Of seven. But I woke up this morning and I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm fine. I'm not sick. I mean, yesterday I was sneezing, my throat hurt. I'm like, motherfucker. And I was like, should I, I have like other things I can take. Like I have this thing in the fridge that it's kind of like the mother, but it's a basis of ginger and lemon. And so I can use that to like, really shake something out or whatever. Anyway, they were like, no. And then I realized they're like, no, you just need a good night's sleep. They're like, you just need some rest. You just need to be quiet and, not be working, because I've been going back and forth for a month now to my house sitting gig, then back here, then to the house sitting gig and back here, and trying to go through my stuff and pack my things, because I'm going to Hawaii and I've just got so much on my plate. And I started to realize like, I was overwhelmed. And I feel like that's what they're trying to tell us right now, that, take that time, because the fifth dimensional energy moves really quickly. And we don't have the same recoup time that we had before in the past. And now, ever since this equinox came in and we went through another eclipse season, another Mercury retrograde, it's like now we're going to have the next 3 months where it's like we're going to be able to breathe again. Spirit wants you to, just expect good things to happen for you. Don't wait for the other shoe to drop. If you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, you're in the wrong energy field. You know what I'm saying? Like you're in the wrong place. Right now, the best we can do for ourselves is to really focus on eating healthy, what we put in our body, what we put on our body, our environment. This house sitting gig, I've been slowly helping her go more towards the natural world. And she's been so open to it. That's why I'm really excited, because one of the last phases I kind of want to do is help her, like, to stop using Tide and Downy and things like that, people have used for years, because they're full of chemicals. This is a revolution. This is a different kind of revolution. This is why I know, number one, love is winning. You can feel it in the energy field. And number two, the oligarchy, it's going. It's going. It's going. Trust me. It doesn't look like it is, but it is, because people have had enough and they're not fucking stupid. And they're like, I don't want to, pay them and their fucking corporations to poison me from the inside out and the outside in, and then pay them to heal me from the inside out and the outside in. Fuck that. It's bullshit. Gaia has everything we possibly need. She's an organism. She grows everything we need as human beings. Think about it. For centuries, all of these healing practices, and they've tried to make them into like these, they've basically, the oligarchy are like the fucking charlatans. They're the snake charmers. They're basically the con people. It's like the con that got so far out of control. And the only way to bring it back into control is to take your power back. And the only way to take your power back is to say, I won't be treated this way. I won't be talked to this way. I won't live in an environment that uses chemicals. I won't put those chemicals in or on my body. And it's committing. That's the good red road, is to committing to like a very healthy lifestyle from the inside out and the outside in. The Lakota know what they're talking about. And this is practiced throughout all different cultures. It's called different things, right? I watched something recently, and if Spirit calls me to, I'll put a link in the description box. But it was really powerful, and it's from this audition on America's Got Talent for this. I don't know if she's a choir director. I just saw the shorts, and I'll put it there so you can see it. And I was like, what an incredible experience. She made it an event that everybody could do together, the audience, the judges, and she had them all singing together, and it was so powerful. And I likened it to this one time a friend took me to a non-denominational church. What's the name of it? Spirit, it'll come to me. It's in Southern California. I'm assuming it's still there in Los Angeles. And I think they have more than one, but it was so cool because they had pictures of different like religious or spiritual leaders all over the walls, like from Muhammad to Jesus, or imagery of them, obviously. But and they tried to be as factual as they could. You know, it wasn't just like when I was growing up in the 70s, it's like Jesus was a white man with blue eyes and blonde hair, and he was, you know, I mean, he was basically the Jesus for the Aryan nation. I mean, seriously, when you do the research and you study it, you're like, well, history tells us that Jesus would have most likely had dark hair, dark skin, and dark eyes. Not saying he couldn't, like I was just telling you about the Spanish and Mexico, like it could happen. But anyway, I digress. So I went to this church and my friend wanted to take me and she said, we have to go really early because it's so big that the main room only holds 200 people. And then they have like, you know, speakers that go outside. Some people like to sit outside during it. And she said, and then there's like a spillover room that they built, you know, off of it that they hold like, you know, dinners and like things. But she said, I like to be in there because the acoustics are amazing. She's like, wait till you get in there. So I was like, okay. So I went with her. And it was so, I mean, I can't even really put it to words. It was one of the most life-changing events of my entire life, if not the most pivotal, one of the most pivotal life-changing events of my life. And the cool thing is they didn't have one preacher, priest, you know, rabbi. It was every single week was a different speaker and a different like spiritual or religious leader from some place in the world. And we were blessed enough to have a monk who was actually American. They were born in America, but they moved to, I don't know if it was Tibet or this was in, 1997, maybe somewhere around there, maybe 98, somewhere around there, definitely before 2000. So when I went there. So I don't remember exactly, but they had the story was they had studied with these monks and they told this magical story about how they trained to become a monk. And that story in itself is like a whole other episode for another day. I mean, I was like sobbing, just like they moved me in such a way. But then the most magical part was at the end, they said, I would like to do something with all of you, you know, today. And everybody held hands. And it wasn't in a circle, but they were rows and everybody held hands. And then we all started to chant Om. And it was, I mean, the ceiling was domed. So, of course, everything we sent up into the ceiling came back down to us. So your life changes when you're holding hands with 200 people all going Om, and to hear the different tones in their voices and every so often, and it went on for like 15 minutes. It was intense and beautiful. I started crying so hard that I didn't know what to do. And my friend held my hand in such a loving way. And then the person on the other side of my hand, who I didn't really know, the only thing, I mean, we had a little bit of conversation, you know, like, oh, it's my first time. And they're like, oh, you're going to love it. This room's so special. Because all the people in that room, like they fight and get there early to get there. I mean, they don't fight, but I'm just saying like they fight hard in terms of like to get up early to get there because it is such an experience. I mean, you literally wait in line and when they get to their capacity of where the seats are filled, they send you to the overflow. So you just get there and get in line. I mean, I said to her, I was like, we're definitely getting in. Because I was such a nerd back then, but also I was really, you know, this was new to me. I was raised like Christian, you know, right-wing Republican, like, you know, Jesus heals, Southern Baptist on my mom's side and Catholic on my dad's side. So definitely, you know, very restrictive. And I had become completely atheist at that. Well, I don't know if I'd say atheist. I believe there was something, but I don't know. There were definitely times I didn't believe in anything. But anyway, I digress. So it was amazing. It was life-changing. And I likened that experience of that AGT performance of how it shifted and changed everybody in the room, because you don't realize until you're that connected to people. And that room holds like thousands of people. So I can only imagine the energy that she brought to the room. And anyway, it's just the power of connection and interconnectedness with each other right now is so powerful, and it's so palpable, and people are seeking it. More people are seeking love and healing right now than they are seeking grief and sadness and strife. And, it's just a different time. Also, we as light workers, we are elevating the energy experience. But it's only in our ego that stays in these small third dimensional places, in these environments with these people. This is not a reflection on them. It's just where they are in their process. I'm just saying in terms of, it's the ego sometimes of a light worker that's like, I can change this person, or I can change this place, and maybe you can. But you have to remember that every single person has to change from within. One of the greatest loves of my life, I loved him so much, but, I couldn't make him get sober. And every time he went into rehab, it was when I was like, I can't be with you anymore. I can't, and he's like, I'm going to do it this time. And he's like, I love you. I love myself. And I was like, that's awesome. But it wasn't the third time, like it didn't stick until he was ready to be sober. You know what I'm saying? You can try and change for somebody else, or you can try and change for yourself and hope that the people around you will take suit, but they won't always. And you have to remember also, when we're dealing with addiction or addictive personality, literally, you cannot do anything to change that person. And that environment will slowly kill you and drain you and make you ill. And I'm telling you guys right now, that even in these times that I've been alone, I have not been taking care of myself the way that I would like to. And I realized what was happening, and Spirit was saying, yeah, because our avatars right now are thriving in the fifth dimensional energy. So they're not going to thrive in stopping off at the store and getting a cheap ass fucking can of ragu red sauce and some shitty fucking pasta. And let's just say that fake cheese that's on the shelf that's not in the dairy area. You know what I'm saying? Like that fucking Kraft cheese that they found out was like made with like wood chips, wood pulp. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how is that fucking legal? Like, what in our FDA government is like saying that this is okay? I'm like, our government is sick and gross, you guys, the United States. Like, the things that are approved, like even the organic, that's why I try to eat heirloom or local as much as possible, because even the organic standards here are like subpar for like other countries, So you need to consider these things when you're thinking about your life and your effect on the world. Every single change that happens outwardly begins on the inside with each of us, because we are so connected and we co-created this world together. So we can only co-create and co-heal together. And I'll tell you, when I started crying after everybody was doing the Om, what really got me was someone changed it. It was almost like we were on the same like Om, and then somebody else would be like Om, and it was just like all these. And just so you know, the reason why Om is the most commonly chanted energy and sound on the planet is because scientifically, I don't know the whole whatever, but apparently it's one of the it's the sound that we make when you use Om. It's the way that our bodies, it resonates an energy into our field inwardly and outwardly that kind of shakes the barley off the leaves. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like it literally like shakes up and resonates our system. That's how people have talked about how they've healed for years without chemicals, without taking drugs or medications or whatever. They're like, meditation can be so, and the thing that sucks is you can heal yourself, but the main reason why I wanted to start this with you guys is this going back and forth has really made me realize not only that I deserve better, but when I come back here, the energy here, I have to work so much fucking harder. I don't have to work that hard at my house sitting gig. It's in a beautiful, magical place on the water. Even though I'm off the water here, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's just not the same. You know, I'm on a busy freeway. As much as I love my landlord, you know, like his whole area that we're living in and this part of the property has like, it's like storage for like, you know, whether it's for, you know, tools or it's for like, he's got a whole spool of like cable, but it's like that thick cable that you'd use for like, you know, like it's so heavy, like even two guys, like it takes two men to try and move it, like that kind of stuff. Like he's got like piles and piles of things, you know, for repairs or like poles or whatever. And it feels weird. Like it just doesn't align with me and who I am. And like, you know what I'm saying? Just everything is metal and cold and hard. And it's very interesting. So I'm telling you from personal experience why I felt so ill was that. And now I'm so excited because I get to go back for, you know, like 10 full, I think I'm going back for 10 full nights. It was supposed to be, it was funny because I've been telling you guys on my other podcast that it was going to be the first visit was 3 nights and 4 days. Second one was 6 nights and 7 days. And the last one was 9 nights and 10 days. And it was interesting because when she and I were going over it again, I said, oh, I could have sworn when you told me originally that I was going to be here till the 3rd. I'm like, well, whatever. She like messages me yesterday, I think it was. And she's like, hey, or whenever it was, a day or so ago, she was like, I realized you were right. She's like, I'm not getting back until, I'm like, yeah, because you're taking a red eye, right? And she was like, yeah. So now I'm staying 10 nights and 11 days, but it still comes out to the number 11, which is an angel number, but it's also the number 2, and it's about duality and balance. And that's what I realized. I'm like, I don't have balance here. I mean, it may feel like it in some ways, but it's very off-putting. And I don't belong here. And I need to find a place where I can find and seek my balance. So I'm excited to see what happens. You know, I don't know how much more time I'll be here before I go to Hawaii, but I have a feeling I'm going to Hawaii in May. So with that being said, I just want to urge you guys to really look at your lives from the inside out and the outside in, but also it starts with you. And if you could be taking really good care of yourself, but if you're living in an environment that is unhealthy, whether it's like chemically, emotionally, physically, all of the above, you know, I mean, my ex wanted to come back into my life last summer and we had a long discussion about it. We almost got back together. The one that I was telling you about that kept trying to get sober for me. He got off the drugs, but he still drinks and smokes weed, like, you know, recreationally, which is fine, honestly. But for me personally, I know that wouldn't work for me. You know what I mean? Like, it just wouldn't work for me. The cannabis, sure. But the alcohol, I know that it's not healthy for them and they know it's not healthy for them, but that's the story they keep telling themselves. And we can tell ourselves fucking stories all day long. And then finally I had a discussion with him and I kind of put the mirror back, you know, to him. And he's like, wow, he's like, how long has it been since you drank? I'm like, dude, like 10 years. He's like, no fucking way. I'm like, yeah, because we had lost touch, you know, for a long time. And he's like, well, I don't like, you know, he's like, I mean, I still go to the bar, you know, like a few nights a week after work or whatever. He's like, but I don't like get drunk and like, you know, whatever, like I used to. And I said, yeah, but I mean, I'm telling you right now, the energy in bars it's just different, you know. I mean, people are realizing some people, you know, make their own wine or make their own, you know, mead or beer or whatever, or spirits, and they really can handle a little bit here and there, and that's fine. But bars carry like such a heaviness and a shadow. And, you know, I was like, I don't want you bringing that shit home. You know, like people don't realize, especially people who spend a lot of time in bars, taverns, and, you know, especially ones that are, you know, in vintage. Like I lived in Chicago and there was this old speakeasy that I used to go to, and I didn't, you know, understand what I was back then. But I remember that when I first went there, I was so into it and I was like, this place is so fucking cool. I'm like, it was an old school Chicago speakeasy that they brought back to life. And, and I was like, I need to do this. I need to create one of these. I'm like, these are so neat. But the more I spent time there, the more I started noticing how I started drinking more again. And they had karaoke, and I love to do karaoke there. But instead of actually working on my music and my stuff, I'd rather go to the bar and sing and perform. Ego, you know what I mean? Like, to get my ego stroked instead of like working on stuff and like doing it, going to open mic nights. And it was really crazy. So you don't even realize, looking back on it now, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. I'm sure there were so many spirits there that, were like holding people back. And even because there's a lot of energies and entities that don't know they're dead, or they know they're dead, but they don't understand. You know what I mean? They get lost in the matrix of it, in between, the light and the shadow. Even the soul can get lost. So, it's just, there's multiple levels of the understanding of that, which is why I push and urge you guys to move into situations, especially your home life. I saw something recently with this lady who wanted to start her own business, and she made jewelry. And it was such an inspiring video, and I wish I had saved it, but I'll just tell you the story really quickly before I head out. She basically, and for some reason, if this ends, you guys know how it goes. That's where it was supposed to end, and whatever. I have so much stuff on my phone right now. I really need to get it, either clean it out or get an SD card. But anyway, I feel like we said most of the things I really wanted to say today, and I feel like the Native American shamans, the medicine people, our ancestors are very proud of us, and they want us to know that they're very proud of us, and they know that all the things that we're doing are difficult, and just to let you know that they're looking out for you, they love you, and they're here. So blessed be Aho, we love you. So I'll end with this story. But she really tried. She tried to do the job. She tried to keep her quote unquote, 9-to-5 job in her little cubicle. She tried to keep her life in her little apartment and making jewelry on the side, until just one day she couldn't take it anymore. And she was like, she hated going to work so much. She hated her life. She was miserable. She was like, why am I paying thousands of dollars a month for this little fucking space? So she had been saving money, and long story short, she bought a van. She fixed it up. She didn't even turn it into anything like really super special, just livable enough that she could, have a functioning life out of it. And she took her savings and started her business. And because all she did was work on that, she also recorded her own content, edited her own content, and she started a channel. And now she does really well. And her channel, because she was doing so well on her channel provided enough money from her advertisers and her supporters and people buying her jewelry, that now she can actually go back into a space like she wanted, so she doesn't have to live on the road. Because now she's like, I've been doing it for a few years. I'm exhausted. People don't realize it's a very hard living. And I know, because you guys know I've been living off the grid. Mostly I have an extension cord. It's kind of like if these people would have like a battery pack. It's kind of the same thing. I literally can only have like my heater and my light and my phone charger. That's all I use electric for. And I use propane for everything else. But, when you really want something, and, it's like there's so much you can do. Also, there are people, I saw another thing kind of similar to this, where this person was renting out someone's closet. And I know that sounds crazy, but it was a really good friend of theirs that worked a lot and traveled a lot, but they lived in a studio, and they're like, I definitely want to be able to come home and, have my space. So they ended up living in their friend's walk-in closet as their little bedroom. And the person they had enough room. It was a nice size studio that they just got a wardrobe, to keep their clothes. And I think they had a clothing rack, and then like a dresser or something. And the other person just got rid of everything they had except for those little sleeping quarters. And she said, I know it was kind of crazy at first. She's like, that I was sleeping in a closet and I had no windows. Or maybe this was the same person. I don't know. But either way, I watched a lot of inspirational things like that in one day. But it made me realize it's where there's a will, there's a way. So it's if you're making excuses, it's because you don't want to change something. And that means you don't want to release something, some part of yourself. And you need to look at that and say, what part of my old life is holding me back from who I am right now and moving forward into my new life and into my new chapter? Because trust me, if especially relationships, you guys, family and friends are a little tougher because they'll be a little more stuck in their ways and whatever. But if you guys truly love each other, and this is what I was going to tell you earlier, with Alder and I've been using tough love with Alder because I have to, not because I want to hurt him or not be with him or spend time with him. But I'm just like, dude, like I'm moving to Hawaii. You can come with me or not come with me, but like I cannot stay here and wait for you to change or wait for you to get out of this shadow. Like I need to move forward. This is what I need to do. And I love you, but I'm like, so we've been having the real discussions lately, the serious discussions, the ones that hurt the heart, and I've noticed that he's been opening up more and he's coming more into his heart center. Now, mind you, it's divine timing and then he's coming out of the shadow and it's like, it's okay. He's coming out of the, dark night of the soul. But some of you, it's the same for you. You don't realize you're stuck in the dark night of the soul. But once you pull yourself away from the people, places, and things that are holding you back to that, you will realize it. Because when I spent time at this beautiful house on the water, spending time with the cat again too has been, like I thought about it this morning. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to lay in bed and do this podcast because once I'm back taking care of her again, I have to get up. She's ready to eat, like she eats early. She's got her schedule. She wants her schedule, so I try to adhere to the animal schedule that I'm taking care of. Right. Same thing for the house, like certain things, like I have to follow the sun and like close the drapes and, because I'm going on the path, I'm taking care of someone else's space. But at the same time, I told her, I said, I can't stay here like with all these chemicals or whatever. And she's like, do whatever you want to do. So I brought all my own cleaning supplies. I've been taking care of this place. We changed out her toxic litter to a healthy litter for her cat. I'm actually going to go and get some healthy catnip and healthy treats and some healthy food for the cat. She doesn't know I'm doing this yet, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to integrate that a little bit into her diet and see if she'd be open to doing that and see if there's a change. Because in some of the things, I'm like, we can love our animals to death. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we do need to make sure that our animals are also in a healthy environment, you guys. Their environment is just as important. When I told her and explained to her how toxic Tidy Cat was and whatever, and she's like, oh my gosh, I've just been using it for years. I'm like, oh, I know. I said, I know you love your animal. Like, I know you love your familiar. Like, I know you love your plants and whatever. I'm like, but like, it's getting on your plants. It's getting on your, you know what I mean? It's like, so they've been slowly killing us in so many different ways and our animals and, paying these crazy amounts, like, animals who have like, they're riddled in tumors when they're 4 years old. What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. So, it's all going to change. And right now, this year is that year of freedom and recognizing that we have freedom and recognizing that we don't have to stay tethered to these very unhealthy people, places, and things. We don't have to, no guilt, and remember that it's their choice. It's their choice. So you're bending your will to their choices. If they don't want to change and grow and evolve with you, that's fine. But I tell you something, if you be the leader in your family group, your friend group, your relationship, they will follow suit. I'm telling you. And if they don't, that means that they're in a different trajectory than you. And there are some people in this lifetime that will never change. Some people will drink themselves to death. Some people, I've told you guys many stories over the years, but 2 of our tribe members, one of them, she experienced a really horrific, story with this person she was so in love with and tried so hard to stand by them to get clean. And she's like, if I leave them, I'm afraid they're going to die. And I'm like, so you should stay in this toxic environment so that they'll survive. And she's like, yeah, but that's, we're going to get married. I mean, that's what marriage is. I'm like, no, that is not what marriage is. I'm like, somewhere along the line, someone told you that's what marriage is, but that is not correct. That is not healthy for you. And long story short, she broke up with that person, lost touch, totally turned their life around, got out of this pattern of they hated their job. They were either working in some shitty fucking, minimum wage job or whatever, or working in a bar or working, whatever. They turned their life around. They went back to school. They got a real estate license, and they ended up meeting the love of their life, who was a millionaire, by the way, old money, but also, you know, like went through law school and all that. Or I forget yeah, they were a lawyer. No, I don't remember anymore what they did. No, I think they went to, anyway, it doesn't matter. But either way, and she ended up selling him his first house, and they fell in love, and, the rest is history. So, and they ended up making these beautiful magical fairy daughters. And you know what I'm saying? So it's like everything happens for a reason. But she was stuck being poor in a shitty apartment, getting drunk all the time, dealing because she loved him so much. And he was a really good guy. I mean, I get it. Good guy. They had a great relationship. She's like, we have the best sex I've ever had in my life, whatever. I'm like, I get it. But then she ended up marrying the man that she fell in love with, like really deeply. And she's like, it is the best sex of my life because it's a different type of relationship. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. It's like, and we're holding ourselves back and holding those people back from like where they need to be and where they need to go. So focus your energy on your good red road, on your path, on your purpose, and everything else will fall in line, or it won't. Recently I had, another thing come to me from my past, and I realized, I'm like, I really hope that I'll have some influence on that person in some way, because I can feel and hear like how much they want to change, how much they are ready to change and ready to like grow into, the person they were meant to be. And they're so angelic, but they're going to do it on their own time. And I can only plant the seeds and help them in that way, but the rest of it will be on them. And the same is for you. So you guys, drink some water. I'm going to have some water too before we head out. And I just want you to know that you are so loved, and your higher self sent me here to reflect these messages back to you, to remember that. So until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other. I don't know if this is going to come out first or if the picker reading is going to come out, but I did a group reading. I'll put some links in the description box for some readings and other podcasts that I've done recently. Otherwise, just go in the videos. You'll see them. I have playlists. If you're new here, there's multiple ways to connect with the work that I do on this channel. And all of my information is in the description box if you'd like to work with me one-on-one. I do life coaching too. I should probably put something on there. I think I would just put readings or channeling or whatever, but I do all different types of, I do weekly sessions, and we work on a sliding scale, and there's just a lot of things. So if you want to work deeper with spirit, if there's things that you want to be more individualized on your path, we can work on that together. magickalmedium@gmail.com. Just send me an email. There's a link in the description box, so you can just highlight it. But also there are links if you'd like to contribute monetarily to the work that I do on this channel. It really does help support my good red road. All right, you guys, until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other. We love you so much. Blessed be. Oh.